Welcome to the webinar sponsored by Safeguard Iowa Partnership in collaboration with the National Weather Service office out of Des Moines on decision support services. I'd like to thank you for participating in today's webinar. Safeguard Iowa Partnership is a nonprofit organization working to strengthen the capacity of the state to prevent, prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters through public-private collaboration. We have the great honor to work with the National Weather Service across the state of Iowa and hope that you find this information beneficial as you prepare and plan for any type of disaster that may strike. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over with Mindy Behrens with the National Weather Service.
I'm here with the National Weather Service, giving you some information about the decision support services that can help you make decisions if a disaster is impending or during and after a disaster. So once again, looking at the National Weather Service, we provide weather, hydrologic, and climate forecasts and warnings for the United States, its territories, adjacent waters, and ocean areas for the protection of life and property. So once again, we're covered by 5 offices here in Iowa, with the northwestern portion of Iowa covered by the Sioux Falls National Weather Service office, northeast Iowa by the office in La Crosse, and the Davenport Quad Cities office covers east central, southeast Iowa, and the Omaha Valley office covers much of west central and southwestern Iowa, with Des Moines covering the central portion of the state. Kind of going ahead, why are we doing this webinar? Part of it is it's not exactly if severe weather and disasters are going to affect Iowa, it's when severe weather and disasters are going to affect Iowa. And here's some severe weather reports from 1980 through 2006, basically with the coverage area of the Des Moines radar. And you can see that there were several different instances impacting every single county and much of the areas across the state, with the blue dots representing damaging wind reports, the green dots large hail, and the red dot slash lines equals the tornadoes that have impacted Iowa during that 26-year period. You can see we have a number of average days where we get severe weather reports across the 26-year period was 56 days per year, with several of those reports being quite significant. 1,467 significant reports, which is wind gusts of greater than 75 miles an hour or stronger, the hail of 2 inches or larger, and tornadoes of F2, EF2 or stronger. So once again, it's something that we definitely need to be prepared for and is a fairly common occurrence here in the state. And looking at not just severe weather, but also impacting things from 1964 to 2011. Flooding is another big thing with presidential declarations. The total number of declarations across the state is on the left, and you can see we've had as many as 16 to 17 in that 55-year period. And the majority of those percentage due to flooding are anywhere from 50 to 100% due to flooding. So besides severe weather, flooding is another big disaster that we need to prepare for in this state. So the first thing I want to kind of do is give you an overview of what we're doing at the National Weather Service to kind of work towards having everybody prepared for these types of disasters. We provide specific and tailored support to emergency managers and some of our core partners like Safeguard Iowa that fits within the scope of our mission. Some of our goals is definitely communication is the key, doing webinars, things like today, getting the information out to our users and to the public and to many different agencies. We're trying to use concise, non-technical terms so that you guys can understand what we're talking about without having to get into the meteorological jargon. Trying to use the decision maker's preferred method when possible, and by that, we're trying to understand the customer's specific needs so that we can really help them with the best information that they need. Working with a lot of the government agencies and the emergency management community, we have dealt a lot with the incident command system. And with that national incident management system, we've had a lot of training at the Weather Service staff as well, and try to understand when there's a disaster, the incident's big picture, so that we can really get the key information to the users and the people working that disaster. Another background of what we're doing to prepare for disasters. Through a disaster, after disaster, we provide decision support services at a state level by staffing the State Emergency Operations Center. There's been 10 full activations that we've been a part of since 1993. The latest was in May of last year with the flooding towards the end of the month in early June. We also provide virtual support from our weather forecast office when there hasn't been a full activation of the State Emergency Operations Center. So we're still in contact with the state agencies and all the government agencies and partnerships that are working through the state. We also provide state agency briefings and statewide webinars leading up to disasters and after a disaster. Working down, we also provide decision support services and support for the county and local areas through just our regular routine products and services, but we also have webinars with many emergency managers and um, different county agencies. We provide web briefings on our internet page. That's available to everyone. There's also provide virtual and on-site support depending on the different type of event. Sometimes special events and post-event support. One kind of special event or post-event support might be such as the Iowa State Fair. We provide specific information to the Polk County Emergency Manager dealing with the Iowa State Fair. Some other examples are during damage surveys. Yesterday we had meteorologists out on some damage surveys after a couple of the tornado reports or possible tornado reports that occurred across Iowa. And then we also had what's called an incident meteorologist who went on site into the Parkersburg area after the Parkersburg tornado in 2008 to provide weather information for a week or two during the recovery efforts and the cleanup efforts that were initially ongoing in that area. We also provide training. We have a series of monthly emergency management and responder webinars that go on at our office pertaining to different topics with weather and climate and severe weather and things of that nature. We provide dispatcher and spotter training to both the public and the Iowa Law Academy and the many dispatcher centers, 911 call centers. Also, we had a decision support services workshop at our office this past year, had many emergency management people into our office to kind of see what we can do for them and what we can do better. And then outreach, we have a county visit program where we go out one-on-one with training on all the weather service services for emergency managers and the media in those counties. Those visits occur anywhere from every other year to every third year. And some of these are just central to kind of the Des Moines office and how we operate, but much of the other offices that cover the different areas in Iowa are doing much of the same type of events as well. So now we can kind of go in and what kind of services and products do we provide that you can see and that you would be able to make decisions off of. The first one is some of our routine products. They're available at our website, which is weather.gov/DMX or Des Moines. The first thing would be our 7-day forecast. It's kind of just the main product that goes out there. It can be either in text form or graphical form. We also have a forecast discussion, which is issued 4 to 6 times a day, depending on updates. That gives you an idea of what the meteorologist is thinking and kind of the thinking behind the forecast. Some of that can be quite technical, but there are usually some nuggets that somebody who may not be familiar with the technical words can figure out. Just kind of sometimes our certainty in the system, maybe a winter storm's coming up, and we can give you an idea of how certain we are of the forecast if we're maybe forecasting 5 to 6 inches of snow, but it's kind of uncertain, and so therefore maybe that'll make you prepare differently. We also have the hourly weather graph that gives different aspects of like temperature, dew point, wind, precipitation chances hour by hour throughout the next 24 to 48 hours of the time period that you select. There's observations that you can get. They're hourly automated observations, and then there's also ones that are available every 6 hourly or 24 hourly that are more manual observations, such as snowfall reports that we take at our office, going out and measuring and sending out every 6 hours and 24 hours. There's also daily and monthly climate reports if you need to look back and see what the temperature was on a certain day, if there were wind or gusts or precipitation in the area, maybe a thunderstorm in the area, wondering if there's lightning. And more of this we will show at the end as we actually go to our webpage, and I can show you where to find these types of products. Other products that we have are hydrology products. Once again, they're still available at our website. And again, we'll show you kind of where they are at the end when we go to the actual web page. But there's river forecasts, once again, in both text and graphical format. They go out and show you the current stage and then the stage that we're expecting and possibly the crest if it's close enough in time. as they don't, if it's a long range flooding situation, the crest may be out past the forecast at that point in time, but we can still get an idea. There's also different things such as a historical simulation, and can give you an idea. Maybe in the spring we issue a flood outlook. It's the long range flood risk that is anywhere from weekly to monthly for a certain river point. So that can give you an idea in the spring, especially if we're dealing with snow melt, and then maybe an idea of how much rain we might be getting in the spring. That can give you an idea how that river may respond, and if we're looking at pushing in towards maybe moderate or major flooding, and kind of how to prepare for the long range flood risk. Did I just do the red arrow? There we go. So then we also have Outlook products for different types of weather. The first one is our weather story. It's issued daily at 6 a.m. It highlights the most significant weather story in the next few days. The picture to the right is one that we issued last week, dealing with storms that were coming in Wednesday and Thursday, and then kind of highlighting the stuff that was going to go on over the weekend. At this point in time, there was still some uncertainty with how much types of storms and severe weather we were going to get late Saturday into Sunday, so we were just kind of highlighting that there were storms available, and we're focusing more on Wednesday and Thursday. We also issue a text product that's more similar. It's the Hazardous Weather Outlook. It's issued daily at 5 a.m. There's two periods, the today and tonight period, and then days 2 through 7. It highlights any hazardous weather expected in the next 7 days. And by hazardous weather, we mean anything that may lead to a watch, a warning, or advisory. So maybe something that could be a winter storm coming up, or severe thunderstorms, or maybe dense fog or high winds. Things of that nature, flooding, would be highlighted in there for the next 7 days. And then any thunderstorm chance at all is mentioned in there, because just by nature of what a thunderstorm is, even if it's not severe, it still has lightning with it and could have some small hail and gusty winds, so that can still be hazardous to people in their operations. We also provide webinars and web briefings. The webinars are mostly to our emergency manager, state, government partners. These can occur hours to days ahead of expected significant hazardous weather. They usually deal with severe weather outbreak or winter weather or flash flooding or major river flooding that's expected in the next few days. They can be coordinated with the state duty officer. If you'll be a part of these, you'll be notified by the state duty officer email, and then they'll be followed up with a web briefing. Now, these web briefings are possibly to occur without a webinar being held. Maybe it's a marginal severe event or marginal flooding event, so it's not enough to hold an entire webinar, but we'd still like to get more information out there. These are available on our webpage and accessible by everyone. Once again, I'll show you at the end where you can find where these would be located, but they're usually issued once or twice a day as we're coming up to maybe an impending winter storm, and are good for about 5 or 6 hours with really what's going on until the new information comes in, and then that's when we'll update it with a new one. So now I wanted to kind of take you through their services timeline with the winter weather for the storm. First, there's 3 different phases that we really look at with the different products. The first one is the hazardous weather outlook. Once again, we talked through that. That was for the next 2 to 7 days we would issue that. That's kind of just be aware that this is out there. So here's one from Friday, February 15th of last year for 2013, talking about a large storm system may impact the area beginning late Wednesday night into Thursday. Even though many of the details remained uncertain, there's still the possibility of significant snowfall for much of the area with a system, and also gusty winds that could lead to blowing snow. So that's kind of the information that we're getting out there ahead of time. Now, this is, something that we issued Friday, and it's talking about Wednesday night into Thursday of the following week. So some of these can be, out ahead of time and give you good lead time to make preparations. As we move forward to Tuesday, we finally issued the watch, which is the next phase. This can be issued anywhere from days to hours ahead of an event. The ones in winter, we issue our winter storm watches, ice storm watches, blizzard watches, and then wind chill watches, depending on the different types of conditions we're expecting. So that'll give you an idea of the timing bullet. We have the storm total snow accumulation. So in this one, maybe 5 to 10 inches of snow, local amounts up to 12 inches, kind of an area. The heaviest snow will fall west of I-35. The winds and visibility, they're still expecting gusty winds, so that could reduce visibility down to a quarter mile or less for a period of several hours. So, and then some of the impacts that would be, conditions could deteriorate rapidly. Travel could become hazardous due to the poor visibility, and roads could become icy and snow clogged as well from the so in the watch phase, we're trying to get more information out there than the outlook phase, but there's still some details that may need to be hammered out. Then as we go forward into the warning phase, that's when something will occur, is occurring. So that is issued anywhere from hours to minutes prior to the storm and the impending conditions. The ones we issue are the winter storm warning, ice storm warning, blizzard warning, and wind chill warnings. So here was Wednesday, February 20th. We issued the winter storm warning in effect for 11 a.m. Thursday through noon Friday. So this one was out about 24 hours before. Our goal is to try to get them out anywhere from 20 to 24 hours prior to us reaching the actual winter storm or blizzard criteria. Our winter storm criteria is 6 inches of snow in 12 hours or 8 inches of snow in 24 hours, and then some of that can be down to 4 inches of snow if we're expecting very strong winds. So that's kind of the timeline that we're looking at for issuing these warnings. And then once again, it gives you those same kind of timing, different bullets with the information, the timing, the storm total snow accumulations, the impacts, and the winds. So you would be able to get more information on where that specific snow amounts is going to fall. And then here's the graphical format of those as well, that it would be on our webpage, and you can see there would be a little legend that would tell you which color means what and what's issued for which county. So in this one, the pink color is the winter storm warnings that was issued for that event across much of the central portion of the nation, and the blue color would be a winter weather advisory, which is still dealing with snow, not quite as much for a warning amount, or maybe the winds aren't going to be as high, so the conditions would not be quite as hazardous. So now we'll move forward to the summer season and looking more at our severe weather and flash flood services timeline, kind of going through those same phases. There's the 3 phases, the outlook phase, once again, where we just want you to be aware that something could be happening, looking at the hazardous weather outlook, and then also the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma issues convective outlooks, and those are big things to pay attention to in the summer if you're expecting severe weather. Many of you maybe have seen some of the information that's come out with that over the weekend, with all the tornado possibilities and severe weather chances that occurred down in the southern United States and even here in Iowa. So first, the outlook phase kind of covers a regional outlook as to what we're kind of expecting, and that can be anywhere from days to hours prior to the event. Then we move to the watch phase, which is the severe weather could occur. There be either a severe thunderstorm watch, tornado watch, or flash flood watch. That could be anywhere from hours to minutes prior to the event. Usually try to get it out closer to the hours. This is something we issue in conjunction with the Storm Prediction Center. They issue the watch and coordinate that with us. We'll have a conference call with them to determine what areal extent, and then that we issue the product from our office once they send it to us. Then we move ahead to the warning phase, which means that the severe weather is occurring. So we're expecting a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, or flash flood warning. And you can see that our warnings for severe weather are much smaller in scale. We issue the polygon storm-based warnings, and we'll have more information on that in the future. So here's the Storm Prediction Center talking more about their severe weather outlooks. Once again, their convective outlooks are day 1, 2, and 3, and then there is also a day 4 through 8 outlook. They categorize these by slight, moderate, or high risk for the different types of thunderstorms and the conditions that they're expecting. And then there's also an enhanced thunderstorm outlook, which the current day is broken into 4-hour time periods. So you can kind of look and see what kind of thunderstorms are expected throughout the timeline of that day. Maybe they're expecting something more in the morning, or maybe in the late morning, early afternoon. So you can kind of look at those different things. But here is the outlook that was for last week. It was issued Thursday or Friday. We had the day 1 outlook was the slight risk just to the west of Iowa, and then it was looking ahead the day 4 through 8 of the stuff that was going to go on over the weekend. And you can see by the colored different areas the day 4, day 5, and day 6 threat outlooks. So here's looking more at our polygon warnings. They're storm-based warnings. They kind of really just go with a threat-based polygon. And what that means is we're looking at hail, winds, or tornadoes with these different threats, or flash flooding. They were implemented in 2008. Prior to that, we were issuing county-based warnings. So by doing these polygon and threat-based, storm-based warnings, we can be more specific and increase the clarity inside the warning. There's less area included in a warning, which then can mean that there's fewer people that are warned for a storm that may not hit them. So fewer people that may be false alarmed, because you can see here the old county-based warning. If we had issued this warning prior to 2008, there would have been 4 counties in this warning, highlighted by the darker red shaded area. And then since 2008, with the county-based or the storm-based, threat-based polygon warnings, is the smaller red square. This would be a tornado warning that we issued for the Belmont tornado last year on July 12th. And overall, through some of the events that we've looked at, it's provided nearly a 61% reduction in area warned for severe thunderstorms and over an 80% reduction in area warned for tornado. So we're really trying to highlight the threat area and make those warnings, when you get them, really make an impact that you're actually going to get weather in your area. Because you can see by that large area of the county-based warning that are never going to see that part of the storm. So we're really trying to highlight the most people under the gun with severe weather, flash floods, and tornadoes. Some other new parts of our warnings is the impact-based warning system that was new last year in 2013. This is so we can try to get more information out and communicate more of the threat that the warning operator sees and get that out to the public and to all of our partner agencies, so they can really be prepared more for what's exactly happening besides just the regular severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning. Some of the different tags in severe thunderstorm warnings are hail and wind tags. They're found at the bottom. You can see down there at the bottom of the warning, if you look at the text, so the hail number would be the maximum size hail that we would be expecting in that storm. The wind number would be the maximum amount of wind gusts that we're expecting with that storm. There's also a tornado possible tag, which means that the storm in question could produce a tornado, but at this point in time, the forecaster does not have enough confidence to issue an actual tornado warning. So it's just kind of to get a little bit more information out there that just be aware that this storm is rotating and maybe could put down a tornado, but we're not exactly ready to put out the tornado warning yet. Then if we look at the actual tornado tags that would be in tornado warnings, there's 2 different ones that can give you different information. The first one is the radar indicated. This means there's evidence on radar and the environment is supportive of a tornado, and we're more certain that there could be a tornado, but we have not yet received confirmation of a tornado. So you can be aware that this storm is capable of producing a tornado, but yet we haven't had a report. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a tornado on the ground. It just means that we have not received word at the office that there has been a tornado. Once we have received word that there has been a tornado confirmed by spotters, we've had a spotter report, law enforcement report, emergency manager report, something like that. There's even chaser webcams that we're monitoring. Maybe we see it on a webcam besides what we're seeing on radar. Then we would use this tornado observed tag. So then you can be confident that there definitely is a tornado on the ground and need to definitely take precautions and heed this tornado warning. The other information that would be in there is up towards the top here, giving different information about maybe the type of tornado we're expecting, like the source. We got reports from spotters and law enforcement that confirm the tornado. We've received reports of significant damage, and then there's also impacts that change depending on what we pick for the tornado damage threat tag. And those are kind of wording that has been ramped up with the different types of tornado situations. These were all in response to the Joplin tornado that happened in May of 2011, so that we can get more information once again out to everybody in the public from the warning forecaster. So looking at the tornado damage threat tag, that's at the bottom as well. Usually no tag will be used most of the time for your general tornado warnings, maybe when something has not been confirmed or observed yet. That's still a very life-threatening situation, but as any tornado warning could be, but as we move forward and get the observed threats and maybe it's moving towards a populated area, we would ramp that up and hit the considerable tag, which there's credible evidence that the tornado is on the ground. We are using the observed tag. Considerable damage is going to be expected, and the tornado duration is expected to be long-lived. And then the highest threat that's out there would be the tornado emergency, where we would use the tornado damage threat catastrophic tag, and that is used most exceedingly rarely. It's basically when there's a severe threat to human life and catastrophic damage from the tornado is occurring. This would be like that Joplin situation, or if we had a confirmed tornado that's expected to be long-lived and on the ground heading into maybe the Des Moines metro area or some of the larger metro areas across the country. So those are things to be aware of if you're looking to get more information and kind of what we're expecting. So that catastrophic tag is definitely, it's going to be one of those maybe a once in a lifetime kind of career thing, or a, expecting a huge outbreak of tornadoes across Iowa where we might see that kind of tag. So you're more likely to see the no tag or the considerable tags when we get to the tornado damage threat. Looking again at the tornado emergency and the flash flood emergency, these are newer terms to come out of the Weather Service as well to kind of heighten the awareness of the extreme situations. Once again, a tornado emergency, we'd use that catastrophic tag. It's a destructive confirmed tornado moving into a large populated area, resulting in serious damage and a high potential for loss of life. In the Joplin area, we had over 100, 150 or so people that lost their life with that tornado. So it was a very huge loss of life with that situation. Flash flood emergency as well. A serious flash flood will likely cause severe damage or high potential for loss of life. We have issued one flash flood emergency here in Iowa. It was back in August of 2010. We issued it for Polk County. We are getting many reports of water across the interstate and many different areas of flash flooded creeks, and we did have a fatality that evening with a teenage girl, I believe it was, that passed away with the Mud Creek area in eastern Polk County. So these are definitely dire situations. We want everybody to heed these warnings. Now a little bit where you can get this information about the different warnings. The first thing which is new in the last year or two is the wireless emergency alerts, or the commercial mobile alert system. This is a joint effort by the wireless industry, the FCC, and FEMA. It's kind of used as a national emergency alert system. There's automatic enrollment. You don't have to pay a fee. It issues concise text-like alert messages for presidential alerts, imminent threat alerts, such as like maybe there's a civil danger warning or a shelter-in-place type warning, and then also amber alerts. The other imminent threats that you would get would be an extreme or severe alert. The severe ones are what we're dealing with the weather alerts here in Iowa. You can see the list on the right-hand side of all the alerts that you could receive through this system on your cell phone. And it will trigger anybody's cell phone that's within the tower of where the threat is occurring. So it doesn't matter if you're on vacation down in Florida and there's a hurricane warning coming in. If you're in the tower being served by an area in the hurricane warning, you will receive this alert, provided your cell phone is enabled to receive these alerts. Same within Iowa. If you're in an area, maybe not in your home area or something, we issue a tornado warning. If you're in a tower that's served by the area, in that tornado warning, you will receive the alert. And the wording on it will look like the one in the lower right down here. And then we'll also say something like tornado warning in this area till the time, take shelter now, or check local media from the National Weather Service so you can find out more information. So once again, the only ones you'd really probably get here in Iowa are the tornado warning, the flash flood warning, and possibly a dust storm warning. The rest of them are more for areas along the coastal areas with the tsunamis, typhoons, hurricanes. And then the extreme wind warning, we have high wind warnings here in Iowa. They are different than the extreme wind warning. The extreme wind warnings are for the eye walls of hurricanes coming through, if you're wondering about that one that's there. More information that you can find to get some of this information while you're out on your cell phone, maybe you're away from your computer. You can use the Weather Service mobile website at mobile.weather.gov. There's several different things that you can access on there, forecast warnings, things like that. And then there's many third-party mobile apps that are out there that we can't officially endorse, but we can tell you what some of them are. Some are free, some aren't. The first one, radar, you can look at to get the radar imagery straight from the Weather Service on your phone and see what's going on. There's two different ones for Android. One's the Pickle 3 app, and the other one is Radar Scope. I believe both of them are ones that you have to pay for, but they're under $10, I believe. And then for Apple is just the Radar Scope app. Both of them are very good and act in similar ways where you can they plot the warnings, they plot the radar, so you can see on your cell phone kind of what's happening and can keep up to date with the latest severe weather. Then there's different apps to receive warnings. One through the Android system is the Pro Weather Alert. Through Apple, there's Weather Alerts, IMAP Weather Radio, and MyWarn. And that's kind of another way you can get all of the severe thunderstorm warnings, weather warnings on your phone. If you're concerned about where lightning may be striking, if you download the WeatherBug app, there's a spark map, and that'll give you real-time lightning data. And that can be mostly, I believe it's cloud to ground lightning, but there may be some intercloud and cloud to cloud as well that may show up. But that will give you an idea if there's lightning in the area. And then current conditions in the forecast. Be aware that some of these apps interpolate observations. Many are available, but the forecast can originate from various sources. So it may have an observation in Des Moines and an observation in Perry, and then try to interpolate between those two for, say, one up in Polk City. Looking at social media for the Weather Service, you can find information at our Facebook page at U.S. National Weather Service Des Moines, Iowa. We issue updates, our weather story on there several times a day, and different types of information that we put out. Our web briefings will show up on there, and snowfall reports, severe weather reports as well. We also have a Twitter feed at NWS Des Moines. We follow the hashtags at NWSDM or hashtag NWSDMX, hashtag IAWX for Iowa weather, and then actual hashtag Iowa weather. Once again, we issue many different things of our warnings and our webinars and our weather stories and all that information on the Twitter feed as well. You can also find our web briefing information on our YouTube account at NWS Des Moines. And those are just to the right. You can see some of the information that we sent out on our Twitter feed for the April 12th severe weather event we had, talking about nickel-sized hail being reported 5 miles west of the Sheraton Airport, a new thunderstorm warning for different counties until 11:45. We've had 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts information that we sent out, and then kind of just updates of what we're expecting as well. So the one you can see there at 10:57 p.m., the line of strong severe storms crossing into western Tama County, heading towards Toledo. So it's just another way where you can get additional information besides what's included in our watches and warnings. Another way to receive information is the NOAA All Hazards Weather Radio that broadcasts the weather information 24/7. The best way to get the information is using the same tone alert technology or the specific area message encoding. This will allow you to program your weather radio for a certain county or counties if you're concerned about that, or even depending on the model you get, can program it for the exact warnings you'd want. I know the one that I use at my home, I program for Dallas County and tornado warnings. It all depends on kind of what you might want to be woken up to in the middle of the night and what type of threat you're most worried about. But you can get any warning, and for the counties that are served by each transmitter, you can get the weather watches, warnings, and advisories for severe winter weather, flooding, and flash flooding. And then there's also the non-weather emergency notices, such as the civil emergency messages and Amber alerts. So they're really a small investment for a huge reward and return for your money to keep you safe and keep your family safe. Especially most of them have a battery backup, so if the power goes out, you still can receive the warnings. There's also a RSS feed for the Weather Service, the really simple syndication. You can go to nws.noaa.gov/RSS to find out more information. The information can be sent to you via email or into your web browser or your cell or smartphone. There's feeds that are available for watches, warnings, and advisories that are filtered. You can receive them for county or for state. There's severe weather outlooks you can receive. And then the most data that we found was for the hydrologic data, getting observed river data levels sent to you, river forecasts, or the alert data that you would receive when a critical stage has been passed for a river. And then sometimes if you want, you can get automated airport observations as well. So depending on what you're looking for, that's another way you can receive information. So now I'll go forward and show you, here's some web pages. Once again, it's the National Weather Service national page, where you can go to get information anywhere in the nation with the same information that I'll show you on our website, is at weather.gov. Then there's the local Weather Service decision support page. This is at our page. You go to weather.gov/?n equals DSS current. These will be here to find, and we'll go forward and kind of look at these as well from here. There's an enhanced version and standard version, so depending on your bandwidth, there may be different things, and they're broken into sub-pages for different things that you can see, like current conditions, forecast, severe weather, winter weather, safety, hydrology. And then there's a national decision support services page, which is called the enhanced data display, and there's a website at the bottom of the page. So from here, I'm going to actually go to some of these pages and show you some of the things that you can see. All right, so here's the National Weather Service page, and once again, it starts with a map that you can see, and these are all the watches and warnings that are issued for the entire country. The green, there's a legend down at the bottom, where it'll show you what all the colors mean for the different counties. Looking at the green, that's covering much of the eastern and southeastern United States. That's a flash flood watch that's out there. So, and all you need to do is click on anywhere on the map, and it'll bring you to the page and the local office that covers that area. So I clicked in Central Iowa just to bring you to the Des Moines weather page. So this is weather.gov/Des Moines or /DMX that I was talking about, our main web page. Some main areas to look at here are this top news section. That's where we might have information on watches and warnings, or the web briefings that we're looking at, or anything that has been issued, or maybe you can see, like, we had their preliminary storm survey results from yesterday and some other stuff that is available. Here's the map. You can click anywhere on the map to get the regular forecast for that area. These tabs up above you can use to get watch and warning information, observational information, the forecast graphics, which are our gridded data that we send out, the graphical forecast, the rivers and lakes, which will take you to the river forecasting, river forecast and river stages, climate, which is different information. You can see those climate reports that we send out every day, but the high and low that was occurred, what the records are, and then the decision support pages. So first, we'll go forward. We'll look at that in a second. We'll go forward and look at the Des Moines forecast by just clicking on the map near Des Moines. So here comes up first with the conditions at the Des Moines International Airport. If you want a history of the last 3 days, you can click here and see what's been going on, all the reports for the last 3 days. Go forward, we have a picture format of what's going to happen the next few days, the detailed text forecast for this area. If you go down further, you can reach this hourly weather graph, and then also the graphical forecasts as well. So first we'll go to the hourly weather graph. So here it is, and you can pick which type of information you might want and what time period, and different things, 6 hours or stuff like that. You can pick the 48-hour period we started today, but you can go out in the future and pick different times. And then here's the actual graph going out every hour, so we can see the difference in the temperature and the wind speed and the precipitation chances, and then how much rain we're expecting. So this is something maybe a lot of people, maybe you have a hazardous chemical spill or something that you have in your area, or you're wondering, when the highest rain chances are going to be. You have some sort of a delivery that's going out. This is something that can be really helpful. Or maybe a winter storm's coming in. You're wondering when the conditions are going to get really bad, and maybe you need to pull people off the road. This is something that can really help you. And then different types of precipitation as well if we're in the winter season. So that's something we found our users have really liked, and that's come about over the last year or two. And then we'll go ahead and look at the graphical forecast information. So these are generated at our office every day as a part of when we send out the text forecast. We send these out as well. They go out twice a day with the full forecast packages, and then are updated. The first anywhere from 24 to 48 hours are updated every 3 hours at our office. And so you just can click on the different areas. So here's the grid for the regional area for the high temperature. And these are also available that you can download, I believe, and import into different things if you needed to use them for something such as that. So there's different things that you can see, the many different grids. It's just another way to look at the forecast besides just reading in the text format and the hourly format. Now going back to the main web page again, there's also different things you can pick down. Here's our weather story, so you can look at that. That's once again that one of those Outlook products. So here's the one issued for today, talking about the highs today, and then the most significant stuff of the forecast is the next couple days, still continued showers and continued rain, and cool temperatures, and some windy conditions into tomorrow. And then there's usually a text portion that explains some of the things that we're talking about as well, besides the graphic. You can also access radar, satellite data, and weather maps. There's more information below, such as on this day in Iowa weather history. If you have a storm report that's out there that you'd like to report, you can hit here online and submit storm reports. Maybe you're seeing hail, and then several other things that you can see both in the lower portion and this whole left-hand area of our webpage. But what I'd like to go forward right now is with our decision support page, so that's up here. This is one of the websites that I listed on that last slide. That's broken down into the different categories: the current conditions, forecast, severe weather, winter weather, hydro, and safety. And here's the tabs across the top that you can pick which one. So the current condition page, once again, you can get the map with the watches and warnings. We also give you the national map with the watches and warnings. We give you the regional radar loop, the central Iowa radar loop, and then surrounding radars, different satellite pages, different weather maps, and then also webcams and road conditions across the state. So several different things that you can access from this page. It's kind of this whole decision support page with all the different tabs are expected to be kind of your one-stop shopping resource for everything weather and everything that's going on. Let's look at the severe weather tab. So once again, we have those watches and warnings for the state. We've got the convective outlooks from Storm Prediction Center, both the current one that's going on, all the ones that are going on with the different threats as well for the day 1, the day 2, and day 3. You go down, the Storm Prediction Center issues what are called mesoscale discussions. They're usually prior to a watch coming out or when severe weather could be likely. It's still more in that outlook phase, but an outlook of a couple hours of areas where severe weather may start occurring, and they may be thinking about issuing a watch. If there's been any storm reports issued across the nation, you can find those here. So here's the one for today. There's not been any reports. Here's the one from yesterday. So you can see it was a very active period across the southern United States. And then here's another area where you can submit a storm report as well. We'll move ahead to the winter weather page. It's very similar again, but dealing more, we see the watches and warnings for the winter alerts, the different radar. You'll get the forecast graphics of snow amounts for the next 48 hours and broken down into 6 hours as well. There's heavy snow outlooks and freezing rain outlooks that are issued by a national center. And then you can see the webcams and the road conditions as well. So there's many different things here that you can look at. We'll go to hydrology and rivers as well. Once again, the main thing is those watches and warnings that are issued. And then it'll bring up the current and river forecast stages once this loads. It basically will show these different dots for the different forecast locations to give you a stage on if there's no flooding going on, moderate flooding, major flooding. So, and then if you want to look at the national DSS page, click on that quick here. It's similar to our local enhanced version of the DSS page, which you could reach at the top of that page I just showed you. This again takes some higher bandwidth. So this has been an experimental page over the last year or two that the Weather Service has developed. It's come a long ways and is really got tons of information available. It'll have a Google map background and then different things you can overlay on it, such as the watches and warnings, different hazards, different reports. It'll have the radar, it'll have satellite, the severe thunderstorm outlooks, things like that as well. I know sometimes these high bandwidth pages on the webinars have trouble coming up, so may have to take my word for it, but it's pretty pretty neat. You can have something up. We use it in our office as a situational awareness display that we have up on a 60-inch television, just to kind of keep the entire operations area aware of the situation and what's kind of going on, and stuff that may be moving towards us, so we just don't get focused on exactly what's happening over our area, but also can be prepared for something that may be moving upstream and impacting us in the next few hours. So, but we'll move forward. Then there's some hydrology resources. The first one is our NWS Advanced Hydrologic Prediction Services, or something that we call AHAPS. There's the U.S. Water Monitor, the USGS Water Watch, and Water Alerts and Water Now. And we'll go through at least the AHAPS page. The Water Monitor we'll look at too. The Watch and Alert is somewhere where you can just go set up your mobile phone to watch the different areas, and so you could receive alerts or receive information to your phone or to your email on how to what the stage is at a certain river or reservoir, and what if they're moving towards a moderate flooding or major flooding, or different happenings that are changes, critical stages. And the Water Now also gives you that type of information. So we'll move forward to the AHABs page, which, if you don't want to remember that long forecast, it's also, once again, if you go to our website at weather.gov/Des Moines, I'll just go, while it's loading, I'll go over to this one. You can also reach it just by clicking on this Rivers and Lakes tab. So here the page comes up, and you can use the arrows to get to the different areas near central Iowa, so you can go up to the northwest and things like that. You can also just move the map. It's a Google Map background. So here's the rivers and lakes across central Iowa. Each one of these different locations is a forecast location or a gauge location. And right now they're all green because there's no flooding, but you can click on one and it'll bring up the hydrograph for that area, show you where the river stage is. If there was a forecast, if we were worried about flooding, there would be a forecast that would go on here past the dotted line. Then if you want to go to the full page for a certain area, you can just click on this. It'll bring you to that hydrograph page that we just saw, but a little bit bigger. Different information such as the flood stages and the moderate and major flood stage for that location, historical crests, low water records, things like that, where the gauge is located. Then if you want to click on this probability information, that's where you can see those long range flood risks, like the weekly chance of exceeding levels. And then it also has the ones during an entire period. So looking out, a lot of times issued, those are in the spring. So here's the chances you can see of any sort of flooding over the next week in this area, and if it were going up here. So right now, there's a greater than 90% chance that we will not see any flooding, and then it may be reached a little bit higher stages, such as 5 feet. There's a 10 to 50% chance for that, but most likely it's going to stay quite low. Even with the rain we're receiving, we've been so dry that it still is hard to get the rivers to respond too much. And then the longest range risk is the one for the so this one was issued based on the current conditions as of April 21st, and it's for the period from April 28th through July 27th, excuse me, and goes out and depends on what stage. So right here, there's looking like a 50% chance that the maximum stage through the next 3 months to 4 months would be 6 feet. If you want to get up into the flooding stages, if we want to see if it would hit up into major flooding, right now there's only a 1 to 2% chance that we would hit that through the end of July. So these are some things that you can deal with planning, especially when we're issuing our spring flood outlooks. Dealing with snow melt and spring flooding really helps out, or if we're in a flooding situation such as we were in 2008, 2010, maybe if you can see the wet conditions are going to continue, something that can really help you make those decisions. So at that point in time, let's go back to our forecast. We'll look at the water monitor, and then we'll move forward. So this just gives you an idea of some of the stream flow across the entire country, and then you can click on the different areas to see more locally what's going on. There's also information on reservoirs, groundwater. Maybe you want to see soil conditions or something like that. Also forecasts and information, and then snow. You want to see how deep our snowpack is. You can use these tabs across the top. Doesn't seem to be going forward, but then it will explain anywhere from dry to wet based on these maps. So here's the map where you can pick, go down to just a specific state, or maybe you're dealing more with a water resource or region, the New England area you want to look at. But so if we brought forth Iowa, then here's the map for Iowa. And you can see that much of the area is anywhere from below normal streamfall up in the northwestern portion of the county. And this was for Monday yesterday. And then we've gotten up to normal to a little bit above normal in some areas based on the rain that we've had over the last few days. And so that's just kind of an information if you want to see how the river levels are doing besides just the specific forecast points. So these are all much different websites that you can check out for the different information. Another thing I wanted to point out is maybe you feel like your organization would like some more information on this weather and how to prepare and be weather ready for these different types of disasters. You can become a Weather Ready Nation ambassador. It's any organization, government or non-government, business, nonprofit, or academic institution can apply for this. It's basically intended for your entity to help build a nation that's ready and responsive and resilient to the impacts of extreme weather and water events. So it's just meaning you have a plan in place, and really kind of your staff members or the people that work at your location are aware of kind of what can go on and what they need to do in the event of a disaster. You promote our Weather Ready Nation messages, which is basically in themes of safety and preparedness for these different types of disasters. You engage with the Weather Service personnel on potential collaboration opportunities. This maybe means you just host a weather preparedness talk, or you might participate in the test tornado drill that we do in the last week of March during Severe Weather Awareness Week. So it's not really huge things that it takes, but then you can also share success stories of preparedness and resiliency. Maybe, there was a severe thunderstorm that came through and hit your location, and you can say how your plan that you had in place really made you prepared and able to be able to react and stay safe throughout the storm. And then you can serve as an example by educating your employees on your workplace preparedness and how you would deal with these different types of areas. So if you are interested in something like that, you can go to the websites that are listed at the bottom, find out more information. It's basically just a way that you could work with us to make sure your location is prepared for these types of events. And it sounds like a lot of government jargon, and it really is, but it's just you getting a plan to be safe and be prepared for the different disasters that could affect your area. So that will conclude, and once again, our website's there at the bottom, weather.gov/Des Moines or /DMX. There's my email address, and then also our hydrologist, his email address if you have more questions on some of the hydrologic projects, jeff.zog@noaa.gov. And then there's our phone number where you can receive the forecast, the climate information, and also ring through to speak to a Weather Service meteorologist if you have any questions as well. So I'd like to thank you for attending today,